A very good morning to all my dear students. Once again, on behalf of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I welcome all my dear CA Foundation students today for the last lecture of Companies Act 2013. So as we're going to come to an end of live coaching sessions for business law today, so even my heart is totally filled with emotions the way you have sent me beautiful messages. So my only request to all my dear students is keep revising, keep studying whatever we have done in the class. Institute has beautifully uploaded all the recorded lectures on YouTube. All your presentations have been uploaded. I think one of the presentation of companies law, you're not able to see it. By tonight, you will be able to see the companies law, both the presentations, part 1 and part 2 as well. So have a great memories with your CA foundation that you have made through these lectures. Keep revising, keep making a timetable, be regular with your studies. All right. So very good morning, Ankit, Soumya, Bhargavi. Thank you, Mr. Abdul Sheikh Bhai. Even I'm happy to have a teaching session with all of you. Good morning, Pavan, Nikhil, Parul. Ayush Kumar has sent some queries. We'll just resolve them. And he wants a brief on Hindi. Okay. Definitely, Ayush Kumar. I will explain you those queries in Hindi. Mr. Vinod, Mohammed Anand Sarang, Divya, Anuj Kumar. Good morning, Sakshi, Avni, all of you children, Hetal, Pavan, Sangeeta. Good morning, children. सबकी डेथ हो जाए तो कंपनी वाइंड अप हो जाएगी. Miss Divya, I told you it has a perpetual succession. Even if all the shareholders have died, the company still continues to exist. Ravi Ranjan, don't worry, you will be able to open the presentation of company part 1 and part 2 by tonight because we'll end the syllabus. The presentations will become visible to you by today. All right, Tapaswani, Ruchika, Sukanya, good morning, children. Okay, let me just immediately, yes, definitely, Miss Madhu, all those who are interested in my CA journey, if time permits, I will definitely share it with you. Mr. Manthan, Yash, Sujal, Muskan, Devshri. Thank you so much, Devi Sri. She has written, because of you, my law concepts are clear. So I'm glad about that. So let me quickly take up the queries written by Mr. Ayush Kumar. He says, I have 3 problems, difference between whale theory and separate legal entity. So corporate whale theory in itself means that company has a separate legal entity. कंपनी इज डिफरेंट शेयर होल्डर्स, हिंदी में आपने बोला था. तो कंपनी अलग है, उसके शेयर होल्डर्स अलग हैं. शेयर होल्डर्स की लायबिलिटी शेयर होल्डर्स भरते हैं. कंपनी की कोई भी डेट्स है, सपोज कंपनी का नाम है एबीसी लिमिटेड, तो एबीसी लिमिटेड अपने नाम पे आपके साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंटर कर सकती है. आप रेंट एग्रीमेंट साइन कर रहे हो तो कंपनी के नाम पे अगर रेंट एग्रीमेंट है तो कंपनी के अकाउंट में से पैसे चाहिए. शेयर होल्डर्स की पर्सनल लायबिलिटी नहीं होती. दिस इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सेपरेट लीगल एंटिटी. मीनिंग ऑफ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सब्सिडरीज टू एक्ट एज एजेंट. ओके आयुष कुमार, जहां हमने बात करा था कि अगर एक कंपनी 100% शेयर्स होल्ड कर रही है दूसरी कंपनी के, तो वो सब्सिडरी बन जाती है. सब्सिडरी कब बनते हैं? जब हम 50% शेयर होल्डिंग करें. तो अगर गवर्नमेंट ने या प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ कंट्री ने सारे शेयर्स अगर कंपनी के होल्ड कर लिए, तब भी वो सब्सिडरी कंपनी की कॉर्पोरेट लीगल एग्जिस्टेंस रहती है. वो कंपनी एजेंट नहीं बन जाएगी होल्डिंग कंपनी की. वो कंपनी अपने आप में अपनी डिस्टिंक्ट आइडेंटिटी होल्ड करती है. And 2 and more persons holding jointly the shares will be treated as single member. आयुष कुमार, इसका मतलब ये होता है कि अगर मैंने 2 शेयर्स हेल्ड करे हैं, आपने और मैंने दोनों शेयर्स ज्वाइंटली हेल्ड करे, तो एक्चुअली में तो आप शेयर होल्डर हो गए, मैं शेयर होल्डर होगी, तो 2 मेंबर्स हो गए ना. बट अगर हम वो शेयर्स को ज्वाइंटली होल्ड करें तो आपको और मुझे एक मेंबर माना जाए. तभी उस एग्जाम्पल में प्राइवेट कंपनी वाले में 10 शेयर होल्डर्स, 20 शेयर होल्डर्स जो ज्वाइंटली होल्ड कर रहे हैं, 2 का टेबल आता है आपको, 2 10 20, तो हमने हाफ करा उसका कि 20 शेयर होल्डर्स ने ज्वाइंटली होल्ड करा है, तो 2 के बदले में 1, तो 20 के बदले में उनको 10 शेयर होल्डर्स माना जाएगा. इज दैट क्लियर? So anybody else also, if they have your doubts, feel free to ask your doubts. I will discuss your doubts over here. I have also shared certain answers that you have written earlier. Yes, Divya, that's great. So even I have the mixed kind of feelings. Don't worry, we will be in touch through your sessions when you're revising. You will remember what ma'am has taught you. So definitely we will be in touch. Thank you so much, Miss Divya Adagali. Thank you, Myang, Kushi. Good morning, all of you children. Okay, now let's proceed towards the session. We don't have any more doubts as of now. Okay. So what is the meaning of classification of capital? I think this is where we ended. We have already done these previous MCQ, previous year question papers also, and we'll try to do certain question papers of 20 to 23 as well today. So let us begin the session with the classification of capital. I think here is something which we left last lecture. So there are different types of capitals which you have been doing. Thank you, Ms. Muskan Pandey. She has written, we never knew that somebody can be connected through internet so nicely. So all thanks to ICAI for that connection. Good morning, Riti. Okay, doubt in effect of registration. Ravi Ranjan Singh, you can write what doubt you have. Effect of registration का मतलब ही ये होता है कि company becomes a separate legal entity. It has limited liability once it has been registered. Once it has been registered, it comes into existence as a separate legal entity concept. All right. Now, classification of capital, moving ahead. Capital, you all have been studying in accounts also. When we make a balance sheet, assets and liabilities, we start the company with having a huge capital. So first of all, there are different types of capitals which have been given in your study material. Number one is the nominal capital. Nominal capital is also known as the authorized share capital. Anyone knows what is authorized share capital? You must have heard about this term in accounts also. Authorized share capital, children, is the maximum amount of capital that the company is thinking to raise from the public. So whenever we have Companies Act 2013, we are talking about, we have either public company or private company. In case of private company, the shareholders will be bringing in the capital, but in case of public company, we will be having capital raised from the public, that is from the outsiders. So suppose Mene or let's take the names Renuka and Sangeeta. So Renuka, Sangeeta and Harleen ma'am thought of starting up of a company of electronic appliances, sale and purchase of electronic appliances. So we thought that let's assume that the total capital that we are thinking to raise is rupees 10 crores. So that is 1 crore shares we'll be issuing to the public of rupees 10 each. This is the maximum limit. So it is not possible. एक हमने imaginary figure सोच के रख ली भी इतनी capital. Yes, Khushi Chaudhary, absolutely correct. This is the maximum amount which is written in the MOA. So number of shares into face value, Anand Sahu, that's correct. But authorized capital is the maximum capital that we have thought of raising in future. So this is the amount which is mentioned in the Memorandum of Association in the capital clause. So now when Sangeeta, Renuka and Harleen ma'am thought of doing the business, they thought 10 crore, it is very difficult to raise the entire capital immediately. So let's ask the public to subscribe for 6 crore of the shares. So हमने कितनी capital raise करने का सोचा? 6 crore shares at the rate of rupees 10. So 60 crore becomes my, 6 crore becomes my, it will be 60 lakh shares. Okay. 60 lakh shares into 10. So we are trying to issue the capital of 6 crore. And let's assume the public, when public came to know that IPO has come, the issued capital, there is 60 lakh shares that we can take up. Public took up 50 lakh shares were taken by the public. So the subscribed share capital became 5 crore rupees. Everyone is with me on the same page. Nominal and authorized share capital is the maximum limit which the company can think of raising. So that is the maximum amount, say 10 crore rupees we want to raise. But when we actually issued the shares to the public, we issued the shares of 60 lakh shares. So 6 crore is the issued capital. Actually, the public subscribed for 50 lakh shares into rupees 10. That is 5 crore is the subscribed share capital which the public has taken. Now, subscribed share capital is further into paid up and unpaid. कितने की payment हो गई, कितने नहीं हुई. So that is the category of called up capital and the paid up capital. So out of the subscribed capital, let's assume the public has subscribed for 50 lakh shares at the rate of rupees 10. So you remember application money, allotment money पढ़ा हुआ है आपने accounts में, class 11, 12 में भी आपने share capital पढ़ा है, advance accounts में भी you have some part of it. So called up capital, let's assume we have called up first call, second call करके rupees 8 per share has been called. So how much is my called up capital? If 50 lakh shares, I have called up at the rate of rupees 8 per share. So my called up capital will be, you have to tell me how much will be my called up capital, 50 lakhs into 8. What is the amount? Yes, nominal, Ms. Divya, nominal and issued capital is different. Mr. Mayank, nominal capital is the maximum limit that you have set up. कि मैं business करने जा रहा हूँ तो मैं 10 करोड़ की capital raise करके business करूंगा. But actually में जब मैंने public को issue करा तो मैंने 6 करोड़ की capital issue करी. Okay. So what is the amount? Very good, Ravi Ranjan. Maximum amount that can be raised from the public. Authorized share capital is the maximum capital. Tapaswani, Deepak Bhai, all of you have written correct. So 4 crore, very good. All of you have written correct. The called up capital is rupees 4 crore because only rupees 8 per share has been called up. And let's assume the public actually paid for rupees 6. So 6 per share unhone pay kara hai, 2 rupees are still call in arrears. So how much will become your called up capital, paid up capital? So the paid up capital in real will be rupees 3 crore rupees. Kitna pay kara? How much the shareholders have actually paid. Paid up capital is the one which has been the amount which has been paid up after the shares have invested. The called up capital is the amount that the shareholders owe to pay. So they have paid this much amount, rupees 8 per share was called up. And now how much they have actually paid? They have paid rupees 6 per share, let's assume. So 3 crore is my paid up capital. Paid up capital is the amount that the shareholders have invested in the company in exchange of the shares that they have bought. So now if I ask you children, what is the real capital of the company? Is it 10 crores or is it 3 crore? What is the capital of the company? If you want to invest in this company in which me, Renuka and Sangeeta are the shareholders, we thought of starting the company with 10 crore of the capital, but actual paid up capital that we have issued, subscribed and called up and after the payment has been made is 3 crore. So what is my real capital of the company? Is it 10 crore or is it 3 crore or is it 6 crore? What will be my real capital? Excellent. Very good, Hitesh, Akash, Ashnika, Archie, Sakshi, Divyam. The maximum amount is the paid up capital. That is Mohammed, Anand Sarang, Rani Prasad, Ravi Ranjan, Anuj Kumar, Akansha Shukla. All of you have given the correct answer. 3 crore is my actual capital of the company. सो आपको कभी भी किसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करना है तो आपको उसकी पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल देखनी है, ना कि नॉमिनल कैपिटल. नॉमिनल कैपिटल सिर्फ एक लार्ज अमाउंट होती है भी कहां तक कंपनी रेज कर सकती है. उसके बाद हम पब्लिक को शेयर्स इशू करते हैं. ये सारा कुछ आप सीए इंटर में पढ़ोगे. जब आप थर्ड चैप्टर प्रोस्पेक्टस पढ़ते हो वहां पे आपको सारा समझाया जाता है. आईपीओ कैसे निकलता है, इनिशियल पब्लिक ऑफर होती है, फिर सब फ्रेश एफपीओ भी आते हैं, फ्यूचर फर्दर पब्लिक ऑफर्स होती है, तो कैसे इशू कैपिटल जाता है, कैसे पब्लिक सब्सक्राइब करती है, कॉल्ड अप कैपिटल कितना आता है. अभी के लिए सिर्फ सीए फाउंडेशन में जितनी इन्फॉर्मेशन मैंने आपको अभी दी है बस उतनी ही इंपॉर्टेंट. 2 marks का या 3 marks का क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा. टाइप्स ऑफ कैपिटल, यू जस्ट सिंपली हैव टू राइट one line for each type of capital and at the end you can write down this is the real capital of the company is always the paid up capital which has to be seen whenever you make investment in any type of company. Is that clear? Now let's proceed. And इसकी बहुत simple definition एक एक पेज की दी हुई है वहां पे study material में, so you can read these definitions from there as well. Now what are the types of shares? Again, this is the basic information that you have been doing since you're commerce, being a commerce student. If you're not a commerce student, then also I'm going to explain it today as well. Equity shares and preference shares. Now, can you see how beautifully this diagram is showing you? Equity shares is the petals that are growing with the company. Can you see how beautifully the growth rate has been shown? That means my graph as an equity share is growing because I'm undertaking more of the risk in the company. And preference shares have a fixed return of income. I have just kept my hand and I know that the income is going to definitely flow. For example, if it is a 6% preference share capital, I know that the 6% fixed dividend will be paid to me. If it is a 12% preference share capital, accounts में आपने पढ़ा हुआ है, ऐसा नाम दिया होता है 12% preference share capital, 9% preference share capital. So what is these percentages? This is the fixed percentage of the dividend that you will be getting if you are a preference shareholder. So preference shares क्या होते हैं? Preference shares are the shares which get a fixed rate of dividend. All the shareholders apart from preference shares are known as equity shareholders. So equity shares where you undertake more risk, your dividend depends upon the profits of the company. Higher the profits, higher the risk, higher the dividend. Lesser the profits, lesser the dividend. But the risk still remains higher. So what is the beauty of equity shares? You can see the growth rate. You grow along with the company grows. Equity shareholders also grow with the company. But if you are a person who really interested in fixed return, then you should go for the preference share. So what are the features of shares? Equity shares, I will explain you from the study material. There are two type of equity shares, one with uniform voting rights and one with differential voting rights, जिनको हम DVRs भी बोलते हैं. Preference share capital is the capital which has two advantages. Number one, it has the advantage of fixed rate of dividend. लिख लो. Preference shareholders, number one, they have the advantage of fixed rate of dividend. Yes, Mr. Mohammed, counting from the members as well as from the shareholders, that is the 3 crore limit that we have taken, assuming that the members and shareholders, the total paid up capital is 3 crore. Yes, Shivam, they have the preference over the profits first. Excellent, Shivam Chauhan. Mr. Suraj, what you have not understood, you can specifically ask, beta. कैपिटल क्लासिफिकेशन का मतलब था कि कैपिटल को 5 टाइप्स में डिवाइड करा गया. नॉमिनल एंड ऑथराइज्ड मैक्सिमम अमाउंट ऑफ कैपिटल है. हमने कभी भी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करना है तो उसकी पेड अप कैपिटल देखनी होती है कि कितना पब्लिक ने, कितना हमने इशू करा पब्लिक को, वो इशूड होगी. पब्लिक ने कितना सब्सक्राइब करा, वो सब्सक्राइब्ड कैपिटल है. फिर कॉल्ड अप कितना था, कितना पैसा मंगवाया गया. कंपनी ने 8 रुपए पर शेयर पैसा मंगवाया, एक्चुअली में 6 रुपए पर शेयर पे हुआ. तो जितना पैसा पे हुआ है वो हमारी पेड अप कैपिटल है. No, Miss Angel, it is not compulsory to learn the bookish language, but your content should be absolutely correct when you're writing blog. Two rights are enjoyed by the preference shareholders. So all of you have correctly written. Number one, preference shareholders get the fixed rate of dividend. And number two is preference shareholders get the repayment of capital first at the time of winding up of the company. At the time of winding up of the company, the capital of preference shareholders is repaid first. So there are two rights enjoyed by the preference shareholders. They always get the dividend first out of the profit. So if I have 10 equity shares and 2 preference shareholders, तो पहले मैं उन 2 preference shareholders को dividend pay करूंगी, फिर जो profit बचेगा उसमें से equity shareholders को dividend pay हो. And अगर मेरी कंपनी वाइंड अप हो रही है तो मैं पहले प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स की कैपिटल रिटर्न करूंगी, फिर इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर्स की कैपिटल वापस मिलेगी. ओके, ऑलराइट. Yes, nominal and issued capital are different, Mr. Mohammed. You can refer to the example that we just did. Yes, Mr. Shubham, definitely you are visible and I have answered your question as well. Okay, now let's move ahead. What is equity shareholders? Now pay attention, Mr. Vivek, you were asking about equity shareholders. Now we are going to do about equity shareholders. One is with uniform voting rights, one is with the differential voting rights. Now uniform means same. Iska meaning likh lo. Uniform means same voting rights. Differential means different voting rights. पहले ये लिख लीजिए अपने notes में. Uniform means same voting rights. Differential means different voting rights. All right. Soumya, why are you asking about debenture holders? Is your book giving any information about debenture holders? So when you go to CA Inter, there I will ask you who are debenture holders. As of now, we are simply doing the share capitals. जितना study में दिया है, even Mr. Shivam Agarwal, you are also proceeding more towards how much preference shares to be issued. जितनी information हमें study में दी है, हमने सिर्फ उतना ही पढ़ना है. उसके beyond जो accounts में दिया है, you can refer to the accounts lecture. Okay? All right. With uniform voting rights means the same voting rights and differential means the different voting rights. Now pay attention how it happens. When you issue the equity share capital, children, equity share capital means how much interest you're having in the company. Share means the interest in the company, how much rights you're holding in the company. Say, for example, I have taken up 20,000 shares in Reliance. I have taken up 20,000 shares and let's assume the shares of the company are rupees 1 lakh. So out of 1 lakh, if I have taken up 20,000, so am I right? It will be 20% of the shareholding that I am having. 20,000 out of 1 lakh if I have taken. So I'm having 20% of the interest in Reliance. So what will be my voting rights? If I have 20% interest in the company, I have 20% voting rights. So 20% is my shareholding in the company. So 20% voting rights means मेरा 20% company में say है, voting rights है, मुझे हक है जो वो 20% voting rights. So shares means the rights and interests that you have in the company. So if I'm invested, if I've taken up 10 shares in the company, I have 10% voting rights. Let's assume rupees 100 total. If I've taken up 50 shares, I have 50% voting rights. 60 shares, I have 60% voting rights. This is the uniform voting right. What is the meaning of differential voting rights? Voting rights का मतलब क्या होता है? जब कंपनी की मीटिंग्स कॉल करी जाती है तो शेयर होल्डर्स अपने वोटिंग राइट्स एक्सरसाइज करते हैं, जो भी उनका इंटरेस्ट है वो उसके अकॉर्डिंग उसको उनकी से होती है कंपनी में. बट वो मीटिंग कैसे होनी है, वोटिंग राइट्स कैसे यूज करने हैं, कौन प्रॉक्सी एक्ट करेगा, वो हमने कुछ नहीं पढ़ना, बिकॉज ये सीए इंटर में हमें पढ़ाया जाएगा. कंपनी की मीटिंग्स कैसे होती है, एनुअल जनरल मीटिंग कैसे होती है, रेजोल्यूशंस कैसे पास होती हैं. It's none of your business to study in CA foundation. You simply have to remember. Examiner can ask you what is equity and preference share capital. फिर आपने preference share capital की definition दे देनी है कि उनको repayment of dividend मिलता है, repayment of capital मिलती है at the time of winding up. And equity share capitals are two types of equity share capital. One with uniform voting rights. Uniform voting rights वाले वो होते हैं जितनी percentage of share holding है उतने voting rights आपको मिलते हैं. Differential voting right में आपको समझाने जा रहे हैं. So हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों में समझाऊंगी ताकि आपको डाउट ना रहे. Equity shares with differential voting rights means, for example, Tata Motors came up in few years back. It came up with DVRs, equity shares with DVRs. It means for every 10 shares, you will get one voting right. अभी तक क्या हो रहा था यूनिफॉर्म वोटिंग राइट में? For 10 shares, you were getting 10% of the voting right. You were getting 10 voting rights. But now differential voting rights means for every 10 shares if you're holding, you're getting one voting right. So if you're holding 20 shares in a company, you will get two voting rights. But your dividend will be 5% more dividend as compared to the other shareholders. So if this shareholder is getting 10 rupees of the dividend, you will get 5% more. You will be getting dividend 5% more of 10. You will be getting more in case of differential voting rights. So इनका रिस्क ज्यादा है, वोटिंग राइट कम है, बट इनको डिविडेंड में ज्यादा प्रेफरेंस नहीं मिल रही है, डिविडेंड रेट ज्यादा मिलता है. That is the meaning of differential voting right. Let me just check up from the study material also so that you can understand what we are discussing. So this is your classification of capital. Each and every line authorized and nominal capital same होती है. It is stated in the memorandum. हमने ये सारा पढ़ लिया है, examples भी कर लिया है. Now we are discussing shares. Shares is simply the interest that you're holding in the company. Share means the interest in the company. It is not the sum of money, but it is interest which is measured in the form of rights that you get. अभी मैंने आपको समझाया कितना परसेंट आपको right मिलता है. So shares are a movable property means shares can be transferred to another person. Private company has restrictions on the transfer of shares. Public companies still allow the shares to be transferred. If I want to transfer, I can sign on my share certificate and I can transfer it to another person. And distinctive number is given to all the shares. Shares have a distinctive number. Always the company's shares in a company having a share capital will distinguish means वो कैसे differentiate करे जाते हैं, हर share को एक distinctive number दिया जाता है. अब हम पढ़ रहे हैं kinds of share capital, voting rights and differential voting rights. So please be with me over here. Tata Motors ने 2008 में introduce करा differential voting rights. They were called A equity shares. So rights issue means when the shares are issued to the existing shareholders. So existing shareholders को एक different तरह के shares दिए गए A equity shares. Now 10 equity shares were carrying only one voting right. So what do you remember from this differential? Number one point is that 10 equity shares will be issued and one voting right will be given. And point number two is 5% more point will be given as compared to the ordinary shareholders. Therefore, A equity shares did not carry the similar voting rights. It is being traded at discount to other common shareholders means it was at a lesser voting right. Voting right means जो आपका शेयर होल्डिंग मीटिंग होगी उसमें आपका जो राइट्स है वो कम होंगे, आप उसमें ज्यादा नहीं बोल सकते हो एज कम्पेयर टू कॉमन शेयर होल्डर्स, बट आपको परसेंटेज ऑफ डिविडेंड 5% ज्यादा दीजिए. इतनी सी बात बस आपने याद रखनी है. और कौन सी कंपनीज है जो डीवीआर इशू करती है? फ्यूचर रिटेल, जेन इरिगेशन अमंग अदर कंपनीज व्हिच हैव बीन इशूइंग डीवीआर्स. So if examiner asks you, I have issued B type of equity shares and 10 shares will be carrying one voting right. What do you call this kind of equity shares? You will say that these are known as equity shares with differential voting rights. So what are differential voting rights? Uniform voting right shareholders, they get the same voting rights as compared to the percentage of the holding. Differential will be different as compared to the dividend and votings. समझ आ गया। एंड एक प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल को डिविडेंड ज्यादा मिलता है, सेम फिक्स डिविडेंड पहले मिल जाता है फिक्स रेट पे, एंड कैपिटल भी इनकी रीपे हो जाती है। बस इतना सा आपने याद रखना। डेफिनेशन क्या है? इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल, ऑल द शेयर कैपिटल विच इज नॉट प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल इज इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल, एंड प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल को ये दो प्रेफरेंसेस मिलती है कंपनी। Section 43 will not apply where memorandum and articles of the private company so provides. So Section 43 कौन सा है? Section 43 प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल का है एंड इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल का है। सो वो कहता है प्राइवेट कंपनी को Section 43 अप्लाई नहीं हो रहा है, क्योंकि प्राइवेट कंपनी इज प्राइवेटली हेल्ड, इसमें इक्विटी शेयर्स आउटसाइडर्स इन्वॉल्व नहीं है। So exception in case of private company 43 will not apply where memorandum and articles of the private company. तो अगर memorandum and articles में प्रोवाइड करा गया कि इसको एप्लीकेबल नहीं करना, तो वहां पे अप्लाई नहीं। Now let's move to the most interesting topic of today's session, that is Memorandum of Association. What is the meaning of Memorandum of Association? I have told you in the previous lectures also. Today we are going to discuss at length about MOA and AOA. So let me ask the class first, what do you mean by Memorandum of Association? वेरी नाइस। किसी ने लिखा कंपनी का डॉक्यूमेंट है, बहुत अच्छी बात है, कंपनी का डॉक्यूमेंट है। कैसा डॉक्यूमेंट? Akansha Shukla, if you want to increase the authorized share capital, when you go to CA Inter, we will teach you alteration of memorandum. That is how you can increase it. Foundation में आपको ना increase सिखाया जाएगा, ना increase के बारे में बताया जाएगा. Okay? So Mohammed, if you're purchasing the shares, either they are equity shares or preference shares, you have to decide which kind of shares you have to invest in the company. Shivam Chauhan, debenture is a kind of loan which is given to the company, and you're raising money from the outsiders. Equity shares, when you're investing, is the investment that you have made in the company, and debenture is a kind of loan which has been taken by the company. So debentures is part of your inter. You can study it there. As of now, आपको equity and preference shares पता होना चाहिए. Rules and regulations. No, beta. Rules and regulations तो articles of association है. Share is a document of title. Very good, Punita. Yes, preference shareholders will be a little expensive because you're getting a fixed rate of dividend. Good, Divya. कंपनी का इंपॉर्टेंट डॉक्यूमेंट है, सानिया खान कह रही है, पब्लिक डॉक्यूमेंट है, अनुज कुमार. ओके, इट्स आउटसाइड द डॉक्यूमेंट प्रोवाइड द शेयर होल्डर्स. मिस्टर मयंक, व्हाट हैव यू रिटन? डज नॉट मेक सेंस. तंबेश्वरी कह रहा है, तंबेश्वरी कह रही है प्रोस्पेक्टस है एमओए. नो बेटा, इट्स नॉट. इट्स अ कंपनी डॉक्यूमेंट. अगेन अश्विनिका. So memorandum of association means how we have to run the company. Okay, Sanjay Kumar. Nice. Now listen to the definition clearly, and I want my smart students to answer me in a professional way. So good. It is a mirror of the company, Mr. Monu Singh. Very nice. Important notice like registration karani hoti hai. Okay. Okay. All right. Somebody saying objective of the company. So pay attention now. Memorandum of Association of company is the most important document of the company. Very rightly, you all have written. इसमें होता क्या है? It tells you it's the charter of the company. Charter means कंपनी क्या करेगी, कैसे बनेगी, किस तरह से बिजनेस करेगी. प्रोस्पेक्टस नहीं है ये जो लोग कह रहे हैं एमओए प्रोस्पेक्टस है. प्रोस्पेक्टस अलग है. प्रोस्पेक्टस इज डिफरेंट. अगेन प्रोस्पेक्टस इज पार्ट ऑफ द सीए इनटू चैप्टर नंबर 3. एज ऑफ नाउ हम सिर्फ एमओए एंड एओए का पढ़ते हैं फाउंडेशन में. Everyone is so eager to go into CA Inter, huh? You have huge companies act in CA Inter. Don't worry. You will get much, much more details. Foundation, you have very less information about companies act. You have already done such huge act of contract act, SOGA, partnership, LLP, negotiable instrument. Companies का सिर्फ थोड़ा सा पार्ट उन्होंने आपको दिया है, बट वो थोड़ा सा पार्ट भी आपने अच्छे से लर्न करना है, ताकि 15 to 18 मार्क्स के बीच का जो पेपर कंपनीज में से आना है, you should write it very nicely and correctly. बच्चे इसके बियॉन्ड मत सोचो डिवेंचर होल्डर्स क्या है, ये लर्न कर लो जो आपके सिलेबस में है. दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. Okay. Okay. Memorandum is the charter of the company. It defines the scope and powers of the company. Whatever is written in the object clause of the memorandum, you can only do that type of business. You cannot go outside the memorandum of the company. It is the foundation for which the company has been formed. For example, A, B, and C said that they are promoters of the company and they came up an idea that we want to do a shoe business. Now they are into sale and purchase of shoes. They were subscribers to the memorandum. They signed the memorandum, got itself registered under Section 9. Registration of the company was happening and the company was incorporated. Now, in my memorandum of association, it shall be clearly written that we are into sale and purchase of shoe business. It will be written in the object clause of the memorandum of association. So memorandum, it contains the object for which the company is formed. It tells you what are my areas of operations. Now, if Mr. A tomorrow goes and start purchasing cloth from the market for the purpose of business, can Mr. A member of the company, do that? Our object clause of memorandum says clearly we are into shoe business. We have opened up a company like Skechers and Adidas. We have opened up Douglas Company Limited, and we are into sale and purchase of shoes. We have our own different type of unique shoes we are making. But this Mr. A suddenly came up and he started doing sale and purchase of cloth. Can Mr. A do that? It says no, you cannot go beyond the scope of memorandum. When memorandum clearly states that we are into shoe business, then you have to stick to your memorandum of association. If we want to change the type of business, then alteration in memorandum. Alteration का मतलब होता है changes लाना. Then हमें अपने memorandum of association को alter करना पड़ेगा. वो हम कैसे ऑल्टर करते हैं, वो हम सेक्शन 13 ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट में करते हैं, जो कि आप इंटर में पढ़ोगे. अभी हमने नहीं पढ़ना. अभी हमें सिर्फ इतना पता होना चाहिए कि कंपनी के स्कोप एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव में रहने के लिए हमें वही बिजनेस करना है जो हमारे एमओए में मेंशन, so that all the shareholders, creditors, and who are dealing with the company know that what companies, what powers and what activities the company can engage in. Now there is a creditor, Mr. D, who comes and supplies cloth to you. He says, I want to sell cloth to your business, and Mr. A, the shareholder, agrees to this deal. First of all, tell me, can Mr. A agree to the sale and purchase of cloth business with Mr. D, dealer? The answer is a big no. Why no? Because our memorandum clearly states that we are into shoe business. Now, say for example, A, by mistake, he got tempted with the offer of making more money. He signed this agreement with Mr. D for the sale purchase of cloth. Later on, the shareholders shouted at Mr. A that we cannot do this kind of business because it is outside the purview of our memorandum. हमारे memorandum में तो shoe का business लिखा है, आपने क्यों purchase करा cloth? So now, you know, who will be held liable in this case? Who will be held liable? Mr. A will be held liable or Mr. D will be held liable? No, ma'am, we cannot sell clothes. Very good, very good. जो मतलब ये जो आंसर फटाफट से लिखते हैं ना, मतलब बड़े ध्यान से सुन रहे हैं. Ashnika Gupta, foundation on which the whole edifice of the company is built means the foundation on which the company is built. Okay. Edifice means on the basis of which the company is, whole foundation of the company is built upon the objective which is mentioned in the memorandum of the association. So who will be held liable? Those who are saying A will be held liable. To your surprise, not A. In fact, Mr. D will be held liable. He will have to bear the loss because it is the duty of all of you are wrong who are saying A is liable. It is not partnership, beta. It is Companies Act. पार्टनर गलती करते हैं तो पार्टनर हेल्ड लायबल होता है. बट यहाँ पे अगर मेमोरेंडम ऑफ एसोसिएशन में आपका स्कोप दिया गया है, किसी ने लिखा था ना, दीज आर पब्लिक डॉक्यूमेंट. मिस पुनीता, म्यूचुअल एजेंसी, यू आर गोइंग इनटू पार्टनरशिप. देयर इज नो म्यूचुअल एजेंसी इन कंपनीज बेटा, नॉट एट ऑल. एडिफाइस का हिंदी में मीनिंग, मिस्टर मोतियानी, मैंने अभी आपको बताया. आपको सिर्फ इतना याद रखना है कि कंपनी की जो फाउंडेशन है, जो कंपनी की नींव है, वो जो किस पे रखी जाती है, कंपनी का जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है, मेमोरेंडम में कंपनी का ऑब्जेक्टिव दिया जाता है, कंपनी सिर्फ वही बिजनेस कर सकती है. ये मीनिंग होता है इसका. यस आयुष कुमार, एक्सीलेंट. भार्गवी, वेरी गुड, वेरी नाइस. रीति कंपनी का नाम, यस. रेणुका, सौम्या, वेरी गुड. ऑल ऑफ यू आर करेक्ट. डी शुड हैव रेड द मेमोरेंडम ऑफ द कंपनी. अब ध्यान से सुनो, होगा क्या. लॉ बोलेगा कि डी, क्या आपने कंपनी को क्लॉथ बेचने से पहले कंपनी का एमओए पढ़ा था? तो बोलेगा नहीं जी, मैंने तो एमओए पढ़ा ही नहीं, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं कंपनी शू के बिजनेस में है. तो डी की गलती है. ए ने गलत करा, ए के अगेंस्ट जो एक्शन लिए जाएंगे वो इंटरनल मैटर्स. बट हियर अश्निका गुप्ता, वेरी गुड. Angel, Archie. Very nice. All of you have now correctly mentioned because he should have read the MOA and AOA before finalizing a deal with the company. I have already been mentioning these kind of things to you earlier also. So what happened? Mr. D's mistake is this, that he should have read in the MOA objective of the company is clearly written that we are into shoe business. So if Mr. D is selling you cloth, it is Mr. D's fault. He will have to bear the loss. This is known as Act Ultra Wires the company. अभी समझाऊंगी, अभी सिर्फ मेमोरेंडम को ध्यान से समझो. तो मेमोरेंडम क्लियरली समझ आ गया सबको. मेमोरेंडम क्या बताता है? नंबर वन, मेमोरेंडम इज नोन एज चार्टर ऑफ द कंपनी. इट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डॉक्यूमेंट. नंबर टू, इट डिफाइंस द स्कोप एंड पावर्स ऑफ द कंपनी. जो जो मैं ग्रीन से हाईलाइट कर रही हूँ सिर्फ उतना आपने नोट्स में लिखना है. Memorandum is the charter of the company. Memorandum defines the scope and powers of the company. Memorandum tells you the objective for which the company is formed. And this helps the shareholders, creditors, and those who are dealing with the company to know what are the powers of the company. तो मिस्टर डी जो शेयर होल्डर है, मिस्टर डी जो क्रेडिटर है, सबको एमओए से पता लगेगा कि कंपनी की पावर्स क्या है. अगर मेरे एमओए में लिखा ही नहीं हुआ कि मैं क्या बिजनेस करता हूं, देन इट इज अ मेजर प्रॉब्लम. सो एमओए हैज टू डिफाइन दी पावर्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ द कंपनी. क्लियर हो गया? दिस मच इंफॉर्मेशन इज क्लियर. सो यू ऑल नो व्हाट इज मेमोरेंडम. Every person entering into a contract is presumed to have. अब यहां था मिस्टर डी की गलती. So Mr. D should have read the memorandum. Every person entering the contract is presumed to have the knowledge of the condition. So Mr. D should have read the memorandum before entering any contract. Shareholders must know the purpose for which the money can be used and what risk the company is making the investment. तो फिफ्थ पॉइंट है, शेयर होल्डर्स को पता होगा कंपनी का पर्पस क्या है, किस चीज के लिए हमें पैसा लगाना है. तो शेयर होल्डर्स भी गलत कर रहे हैं, शेयर होल्डर्स को भी एमओए पढ़ना चाहिए. So while investing in any kind of company, you should first read the MOA and AOA of the company, and then only you should know what kind of risk you are taking while making the investment in that company. A company cannot depart from its provisions. कंपनी अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के बाहर जाकर काम नहीं कर सकती. कंपनी cannot go outside the preview of its object clause. It cannot enter into any kind of contract which is beyond the power given by the memorandum. If any company enters into a contract outside the power, it is known as ultra vires the company, and hence it is held void. So number one, मेरे बच्चों ने क्या याद रखना है? MOA important document of company. It is charter of company. Charter of company means कंपनी का करता धरता है, कंपनी की सारी डिटेल्स इसमें दी जाती है. It defines the scope and power of company for which it is formed. Every outsider should read the MOA and AOA of company before entering into any contract with a company. I'm making brief notes so that you can simply write this and learn that, and no need to read all this what we have just discussed. It is summary of what we have just discussed. Also, the shareholders will get to know the purpose for which the money has to be used. ये तो सबको समझ आ गया. A company cannot enter into any contract outside the object clause of MOA. If it does so, that act is ultra vires of the company and hence held void. Please write down these notes quickly. Yes, that's correct. Partnership में partnership deed होती है, वैसे ही MOA है. It's okay, Tapaswini. You don't need to be sorry. It's good that you're learning, children. D should have read. Yes, Sudhakar. Tapaswini is written D will be liable because he should have read before dealing with the company. Yes, Bhargavi, you can have different type of businesses, but your MOA should clearly describe what kind of business the companies are doing. I hope all of you have written constitution of the company. Yes, Miss Mahi Panchal, that's also correct. All right. So everyone is clear. Ultra vires क्या होता है? Ultra vires means void, null and void हो जाएगा. ऐसा कोई भी एक्ट अगर कंपनी आपके साथ करती है जो कि कंपनी के ऑब्जेक्ट क्लॉज में नहीं लिखा, वो null and void हो जाएगा. Means it has no meaning in the eyes of law. Means it will have no meaning in the eyes of law. मैम हमने सारा लर्न करना है, आपने सिर्फ ये लर्न करना है जो मैंने आपको ब्रीफ समरी में दिया है. Is that clear? Can I erase it now? Okay, Madhu, please write it down. Mr. Shubham, what are you saying? All right, let's move ahead. So these are just section 4 is something that defines the entire memorandum of association. Sections learn nahi karne hain aapne foundation mein, inter mein you should learn the sections. Here he is just giving you what are the 5 kinds of tables given in the schedule 1 of the Companies Act. So how your memorandum of association is to be drawn. How your memorandum, yes, Archie Goel, excellent. Ultra vires means beyond the powers, very good. So these are the tables how your memorandum have to be drawn. If you're a company limited by shares, then MOA will be drawn as per table A. If you're a company limited by guarantee and not having share capital, remember I told you company limited by guarantee may have a share capital, it may not have a share capital. If you're not having share capital, then you will draw the memorandum as per table B. Table C gives you the memorandum for company limited by guarantee, which is having a share capital also. If you're unlimited company, then you have to follow table D, and unlimited company with share capital has to follow table E. So these must be close to model forms depending upon the circumstances. So this is just the tables which are given under schedule 1. No, you don't have to learn these tables, but it is just the information that you should all know that schedule 1 tells you how MOA of the company needs to be drawn. Now, what are the contents of memorandum? This is something really important and of matter of interest to all of you. So number 1 clause of the memorandum of association is name clause. I have briefly written all these clauses in my presentation, but here we will be doing each and every words from the study material itself. So name clause में मुझे फटाफट से बता दो, पब्लिक कंपनी है तो हमें वर्ड लिमिटेड लगाना है, प्राइवेट कंपनी है तो वर्ड प्राइवेट लिमिटेड लगाना है, और अगर ओपीसी है तो क्या लगाना है आप मुझे बताइए. If you are an OPC, then you will put in the bracket the word OPC and private limited company. What happened, Miss Riti Bharti? I have read all your answers. It was correct, okay? Limited by guarantee. Sakshi Talikar is saying, what is the meaning of limited by guarantee? What do you understand by company limited by guarantee, Sakshi? You tell me. We have done it twice in the previous lecture also. Company where the shareholders have given the fixed amount of guarantee that they will be paying. Their liability is limited up till that. Okay. So OPC, what you have to use in case of OPC, you have to use the words OPC and private limited. Okay, now this Section 8 companies was formed. The company shall include the words foundation, association, federation. Remember, I told you this clause is not applicable to Section 8 companies. Section 8 companies कौन सी होती हैं? Very good. OPC, private limited, बिल्कुल ठीक लिखा. Sanya Khan, you saying unlimited. OPC always have its liability limited. It never has unlimited liability. यस मिस्टर मयंक, ओपीसी को हम प्राइवेट कंपनी ही ट्रीट करते हैं. वेरी गुड आर्ची गोयल, आकांक्षा, मुस्कान, दिव्या, तपस्विनी, अनुष्का, all of you have given the correct answers. Dheeraj, Riti Bharti, very good. OPC is always a private company. Yes, Divya, that's correct. Miss Nancy has given a beautiful example. Example OBC bracket ABC OPC private limited. Very good. Miss Anjali, then his shares will still keep on existing and the company will either be taken over by someone or tribunal will strike off the name from the registrar of companies. Section 8 are charitable companies. Very good. Great, Anushka Raj. Good answers all of you have given. Section 8 companies are the charitable companies. So Electoral Trust, Mr. Nikhil Sharma, he's talking about the same type of company, Electoral Trust over here. He has given the example of Section 8 companies. For example, वो कह रहा है कि हमने एक company बनाई Electoral Trust करके charitable purposes के लिए as per the Electoral Trust Scheme 2013. Now, what happened is he's simply trying to tell you that these Section 8 companies will not use the word limited and private limited. It can only use the words like electoral trust, federation, association, chambers. इस तरह के नाम वो use कर सकता है, but वो word limited and private limited नहीं use करती Section 8 companies. Government companies must end with the word limited. Why does government company end with the word limited? Because here the government is having stake in your company. It is always considered as a public company, but it is not a public company. It is a government company. What is a government company? All of you have answered correctly for Section 8 companies. What is a government company? How much stake is being held by government in your government company? बताओ जल्दी से मुझे. Thank you so much, Miss Lippy Ray. I'm glad you're enjoying the lectures. Thank you so much. 50%. Miss Divya, are you correct? That means you have not revised. How much stake is being held by the government in case of government company, children? 51% of the share capital must be held by central government or state government or partly by central or state government. Excellent, Anushka, Riya, Renuka, Shubham Sharma, Monu Singh, Hital, Anuj, Tambeshwari, Shivam Chauhan, Nikhil, Anuj, Sudhakar, Dheeraj, Tapaswani. Okay, don't worry, Miss Divya. Now it's correct. Muskan, Rani Prasad, Pavan, Anjali, Anish, Archie, Sukanya, Sujal. All of you have given the correct answer. 51% of the share capital has to be seen. So that is the meaning of government company and what words you will use. Limited and OPC, you should have the words OPC. Second clause is your registered office clause. This clause will tell you where the registered office of the company is situated so that all the communication of the company can be sent at that particular registered office. And this is the third clause, object clause, जो कि हमने अभी डिटेल में डिस्कस करा. Object clause will tell you about what activities the company is engaged into, and within the 6 months, the period should comply. If the company has changed its activity, all those who were asking me about change of business, now pay attention. If the company changes its activities, which are not given in its name, then within a period of 6 months, it shall make that change applicable in its memorandum of association. सपोज आप शू बिजनेस में हो और आपने बोला है कि अब हम शू बिजनेस नहीं करेंगे, हमें अच्छी डील्स मिल रही हैं क्लॉथ बिजनेस के लिए. नाउ आई नीड टू ऑल्टर माय मेमोरेंडम एंड विद इन 6 months of time period I should comply with all the provisions related to the change of. So I will again have to apply to the ROC. I will have to make alterations in my memorandum, and 6 months time period I should comply with all the provisions of the Companies Act in order to change the name of my company. And what is liability clause? Liability clause means in case company is limited by share, then how much liability? Remember, I told you in MOA, we mentioned the liability of the company. So liability of the company will be amount, how much amount unpaid on the shares is left. That will be written in case of limited by shares. And in case of limited by guarantee, we will write how much amount the company shareholders will be paying in case the company goes into wind. So amount to which the members undertake to contribute towards the assets of the company of which he is a member or within 1 year after he ceases to be a member for payment of debts and liabilities. So for 1 year, how much amount he is going to pay will be written in case of MOA. Limited by shares में हमारी limited is only limited up till the liability is limited only up till the amount unpaid on the shares. Limited by guarantee में we give the certain amount of guarantee which we have agreed to contribute. Remember where A has decided to contribute 10,000, B has decided to contribute 15,000. So all these amounts of 10,000, 15,000 will be written over here up till 1 year after he ceases to be a member that he will be contributing towards the winding up of the company. All right. Now, what is the capital clause? Capital clause हमने अभी discuss करा है types of capital. So your authorized share capital, it says capital clause is divided into fixed amounts. It simply tells you the authorized share capital, number of shares and into fixed amount of the shares. So 10 crore का हमने example लिया था, तो 1 crore shares of rupees 10 each will be written in case of memorandum of association in the fifth clause, that is capital clause. And then there is a last clause, sixth clause, which talks about the association clause. Here, the detail of all the subscribers who have joined the company will be given. All the promoters who were the subscribers to the memorandums, they should at least take up one share in the company and they will write the name, number of shares taken by him. This information is given in the association clause. So in our previous example, Hitesh, Ruchika, and Harleen, ma'am, they were the subscribers to the memorandum. So we will write the name of Hitesh and he will take up one share in the company. Ruchika, he will take up one share, number of shares he has taken. And Harleen, number of shares that he has taken, her name will be given in the association clause of the company. And one last clause they have included is in case of OPC, what you have to give is it's a nominee clause, the name of the nominee who will be taking up the company in case of the death of the shareholder. His name shall also be given in the association clause of the memorandum of association. Is that clear? And how many members need to sign the memorandum? 7 members in case of a public company and 2 members in case of a private company shall sign the memorandum of association. Why 7 members are signing in case of public company? Why he has written that 7 members should sign in case of public company? Yes. Why 7 members are signing the memorandum of association of public company? Because minimum 7 members are required in case of public company. Very good. मिस्टर मोतियानी, शेयर होल्डर एंड मेंबर में ये डिफरेंस होता है कि जब कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेट हो जाती है तो आप कंपनी के मेंबर बन जाते हो और जब आप शेयर्स ले लेते हो कंपनी में तो वही मेंबर शेयर होल्डर्स बन जाते हैं। उन्हीं शेयर होल्डर्स में से हम डायरेक्टर्स बनाते हैं, तो इट इज वन एंड द सेम थिंग, कुछ ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं है। Okay, so company being a legal person, it acts through its agent. Minor cannot be a signatory in the memorandum. We all know that minor cannot enter into a contract, so minor cannot sign the memorandum. Memorandum clauses are known as compulsory clauses and they are in addition to the provision. So everything has to be compulsory made in case of memorandum of association. Now let's come to the very interesting topic of doctrine of ultra vires. So we have to complete 3 important doctrine today. Doctrine का मतलब होता है rule, certain rule which we are going to do. That is doctrine of ultra vires, doctrine of indoor management, and doctrine of constructive notice. So let's take a small break over here, and after that we'll be winding up this chapter of memorandum of articles. Let's take a small break here. Welcome back, students. So let's proceed towards the doctrine of ultra vires. Yes, Ayush Kumar minor cannot sign, and because he is not competent to enter into contract, therefore he cannot be a subscriber to memorandum. Similarly, he cannot open an OPC also. So what is the meaning of doctrine of ultra vires? Ultra vires means something which is beyond their powers. I just now explained you that the shareholders cannot enter into any transaction which is outside the purview of the company's memorandum. So what happened in this particular case law is that for doctrine of ultra vires, we are going to do a very important case law, that is Ashbury Railway Carriage versus Mr. Rish. So what happened in this, we'll just understand. But before that, let's read this important line that memorandum is a public document and it is open for inspection to everyone. Doctrine of ultra vires tells us that the company can neither be sued on ultra vires act nor it can sue on it. तो अगर मिस्टर डी ने गलत हमारे साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंटर करा था फॉर क्लोथ बिजनेस, he cannot sue the company and neither the company can sue. Memorandum is a public document. Everyone who is dealing with the company should know the powers of the company. In spite of this, if you enter into transaction which is ultra vires, you cannot enforce it against the company. Please mark this line, very, very important, means company cannot be held liable. So what does doctrine of ultra vires tells us? That company will not be held liable for any ultra vires acts that it is entering. So protection is given to the shareholders and creditors who are dealing with the company. That company will not be held liable for any ultra vires act. It is your mistake as an outsider. You should have read the memorandum before entering into contract with us. So if you have done a wrong contract, it is your mistake. For example, if you have supplied goods or performed the service or lent money to the contract, you cannot obtain the payment or recover the money lent. But if the money advanced to the company has not been expended, lender can stop the company from parting with it. So अगर मिस्टर डी ने हमें पैसा दिया या कपड़ा दिया या कुछ भी परचेज करा, तो कंपनी की कोई जिम्मेवारी नहीं है उन अल्ट्रा वायर्स एक्ट के लिए. Company does not become the owner of the, but similarly you can stop the company from spending the money further because company does not becomes the owner of the money which is ultra vires. As lender remains the owner, he can take the property in back. So he can, Mr. D can take his cloth back. He can tell that, sorry, I did not know that the company, it is ultra vires act. Now I have read it. So now I want to take my cloth which I have supplied back. Ultra vires loans has been utilized in meeting lawful debts. Lender steps into the shoes of the debtor paid off and consequently he will be entitled to recover his loan. So if any ultra vires loans have been taken to meet any lawful debts, then also that particular creditor will get the money back who has supplied the loan. So any act which is ultra vires cannot be ratified by the shareholders. Ratified means cannot be accepted. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि ये ultra vires था, अब हमने इसको accept कर लिया. It cannot be ratified. Please write down the meaning of ratified over here, means it cannot be made acceptable. So it cannot be accepted even if all the shareholders have agreed, then also that particular act cannot be accepted. Ultra vires, by ratifying it, for example, ultra vires is the power of directors. Shareholders can ratify it. If it ultra vires the articles, company can alter the articles. Now, this is very interesting. Any act which is ultra vires the power of directors, they can ratify it if it ultra vires the articles. So anything which is in the articles of the company, that can still be accepted, that can be changed, that can be ratified. But once you have gone beyond the powers of the company, then you cannot ratify that particular act. Now, this is just a briefing which they have given in order to initiate the leading case law. What you have to learn over here is simple information that any act which is ultra vires, company will not be held liable. Let's refer to the leading case of Ashbury Railway Carriage. Then you will understand how the acts get ultra vires. Now, the facts of the case were, what is the objective of this company? This company, that is Ashbury Railway Carriage Company, this company was engaged in the business of making लेंडिंग ऑन हायर द रेलवे कैरेज एंड वेगन्स. तो रेलवे के जो डब्बे होते हैं, वेगन्स होते हैं, वो ये रेलवे कैरेजेस बनाते थे और उनको हायरिंग पे देते थे एंड सेल करते. दूसरा ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था कंपनी का? बिजनेस ऑफ मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग एंड जनरल कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स. तो सारे मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स के साथ इनका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट था जो रेलवे लाइन को बनाते हैं और वेगन्स को बनाते हैं, एंड कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स के साथ भी इनका बिजनेस था. एंड वर्क माइंस को भी सेल परचेज एंड सेल करते थे. वर्क माइंस जो साइट्स होती हैं, एंड दे वर ऑल्सो इनटू द एजेंट्स, कोल, टिम्बर, मेटल्स, इन सब चीजों का भी सेल परचेज कर रहे हैं। समझ आ गया? तो बेसिकली एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग काइंड ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थी जो रेलवे कैरेजेस एंड वेगन्स बनाती है, उसी से रिलेटेड उनका बिजनेस था। Now what happened in the business was directors of the company entered into a contract with Mr. Rich. एक बंदा था मिस्टर रिच, उसने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंटर करा कंपनी के डायरेक्टर्स के साथ फॉर फाइनेंसिंग द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ रेलवे लाइन इन बेल्जियम। नाउ चिल्ड्रन, आपने ये चारों ऑब्जेक्टिव्स पढ़े हैं, ऊपर कंपनी इन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में है। एमओए कह रहा है सेल एंड परचेज ऑफ रेलवे वैगन्स, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग, वर्क माइंस। कहीं पे भी कंपनी के मेमोरेंडम में ये लिखा है कि कंपनी फाइनेंसिंग बिजनेस करती है? आप बताओ मुझे ध्यान से पढ़कर, आप अब चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स हो, फ्यूचर बडिंग सीएस हो, आप मुझे बताओ कि ये ऐसा लिखा है कहीं पे? Mr. Ayush Kumar, if it comes to 5 marks, this is what we have to line the summary of the examples and the case law that we are discussing. Okay. Tell me, children, is it mentioned in the object clause that the company is into financing business or this kind of transactions can be taken up by the company? As a budding chartered accountants, as the consultant of Railway Carriage Limited Company, please tell me, can company enter into such kind of contract? No, ma'am, it's not mentioned. It is purely a manufacturing kind of organization. Very well answered by all of you. So here, something went wrong when Rich entered for the financing of the construction. Company ratified this act of directors by passing a special resolution. Now, what is special resolution? I told you when majority of the shareholders say yes for passing a resolution or for passing any kind of agreement in the company, then special resolution is passed in the meeting. So what happened? They tried to ratify it. Ratified means making it acceptable, correcting this act of the directors. Corrections भी बोल सकते हो आप ratify करने को. So उन्होंने directors का ये act ratify कर. Company repudiated the contract. Company ने कहा नहीं, हम ये ratify नहीं करेंगे. Company ने contract repudiate कर दिया, means company ने contract कैंसिल कर दिया बिकॉज दिस एक्ट वाज अल्ट्रा वायर्स। आप सबने भी यही बोला अभी, नो मैम फाइनेंसिंग के बारे में तो कहीं मेंशन ही नहीं है। सो कंपनी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कैंसिल कर सकती है? बिल्कुल कर सकती है, बिकॉज इट इज अल्ट्रा वायर्स। Rich got very angry. He said, I want the damages for the breach of contract. You have entered a contract with me and now you're breaching that contract. तो वो कोर्ट में गए, लॉ के पास गए। अब स्टोरी ध्यान से सुनो, listen very carefully. Now company has cancelled the contract. Company said we cannot enter into contract. It's ultra vires. So angry Rich said that I want to claim the damages. You have breached my contract. So they went to court, and in the court, Rich said that although company is saying that it is not mentioned in their object clause, but there is a word written, the word general contractors. Therefore, it is within the power of the company to give me such kind of contract. And also majority of shareholders have ratified this act. So court said that because this act is ultra vires, number one, it is null and void. The word number two, court said the word general contractor is associated with mechanical engineers. It has to be read with company's main business. What is the main business? The general contractors is the interpreted the word should be for any kind of restriction like marine and fire insurance. इस तरह का contract नहीं कर रही है कंपनी mechanical engineers में. मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स वो जो रेलवे लाइन के लिए हमने एम्प्लॉय करा है उन इंजीनियर्स को, एंड उसी टाइप का वो जनरल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आगे साइन कर। वो कहते हैं ऐसे तो आप कुछ भी इंश्योरेंस का भी ले आओ, कंपनी क्या इंश्योरेंस बिजनेस कर रही है? जनरल कॉन्ट्रैक्टर में तो कुछ भी आ सकता है, बैंकिंग आ सकती है, इंश्योरेंस आ सकती है, आपकी फाइनेंसिंग आ सकती है, एनीथिंग कैन कम. But here you have to read the word general contractors within the meaning of the first line, that is business of mechanical engineers and general contractors. So here the word general contractors is used within the sense of the mechanical engineers. Therefore, two contention court held that the contract is null and void, it is ultra vires, and the word associated general contractor is associated with mechanical engineers. Therefore, Rich got nothing. Because I told you in the beginning of the lecture that where Mr. D is doing any mistake, outsider is entering the contract ultra vires, outsider will be held liable and company cannot be held liable. And also it cannot be ratified. Ratified means अगर सारे majority of shareholders भी मान गए कि ठीक है हमें business मिल रहा है हम कर लेंगे, तब भी ये नहीं माना जाएगा, because any act which is ultra vires the company cannot be accepted by majority of shareholders also. Because it can never be made binding on the company. It cannot become intra-vires by ratification, delay or lapse of time. Means अगर हम बोले कि टाइम निकल गया तो अब हमें इसे intra-vires means acceptable मान लेते हैं. Ultra-vires means outside the power, intra-vires means within the power. So any act which is ultra-vires, it cannot be made acceptable at any cost. So this is the summary that you all have to read. बस आपने केस लॉ पढ़ना है, आपने मेमोरेंडम की डेफिनेशन पढ़नी है जो मैंने आपको समरी लिखवाई है, आपने क्लॉजेस पढ़ने हैं जो 7 क्लॉजेस इंपॉर्टेंट है, फिर आपने डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ अल्ट्रावायर्स की डेफिनेशन रीड करनी है, फिर केस लॉ पढ़ना है और उसके बाद ये समरी इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड इजी. लेट्स रीड इट वन बाय वन. Any act performed though it is legal in itself and it is not authorized by the object clause. So क्या होता है अल्ट्रावायर्स? अब फिर से समरी बता रहा है. If it is not given in the object clause, then ma'am it is the ultravires. Act which is ultravires, it cannot be ratified by the unanimous consent. Unanimous means सारे शेयर होल्डर्स ने कंसेंट दे दिया कि हाँ जी हम एग्री करते हैं, तब भी वो रेटिफाइड नहीं हो सकता. जो अल्ट्रावायर्स करते हैं डायरेक्टर्स को बट कंपनी को इंट्रावायर करते हैं, दैट कैन बी रेटिफाइड. So say for example there is a borrowing powers that have been given to the company. So the directors could borrow up till amount 50,000 rupees. But the directors borrowed up till 70,000 rupees. Now, although it is within the power of the company, it is intra-vires, but directors are acting outside their power. Here, the company can ratify it by passing a resolution. The limit can be extended. But something where the directors have no power to borrow, still they are borrowing, that is ultra-vires. And anything which is ultra-vires the articles, then it can be altered the articles and passing a special resolution and general meeting can be. So first of all, these points relate with MOA, that anything outside MOA cannot be ratified. It is ultra-vires. These points relate to AOA, something which is within the power of AOA and it is outside AOA, then AOA can be referred and altered by passing a special resolution. Is that clear? So mainly it is providing protection to the shareholders and creditors. It is only a nuisance so far prevents the company from changing a directive. वो कहते हैं एक बार ही हमने ऑब्जेक्ट क्लॉज डिसाइड कर लिया है तो इतना इजी नहीं है कि हम ऑल्टरेशन पास करें एंड उसको हम बार बार चेंज करते रहे. हम शेयर होल्डर्स एंड क्रेडिटर्स को प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करते हैं थ्रू दिस डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ अल्ट्रावायर्स. Now let's come to the last topic of this session, that is articles of association. आर्टिकल्स क्या होते हैं? आर्टिकल्स होते हैं कंपनी के रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस, हाउ द इंटरनल अफेयर्स ऑफ द कंपनी विल बी मैनेज्ड. Articles are the subsidiary to memorandum. What is the meaning of articles or subsidiary? Memorandum tells you the entire scope and objective of the company. Articles of association, children, is going to tell you simple rules, regulations, how the company is going to run, how it will be doing the business, how the internal functioning is happening. That is what is defined under the articles of association of the company. So the document containing articles, for example, the Magna Carta is a business document and it has to be construed strictly because domestic management of the company, rules and regulations between the members and the companies are strictly related in the articles of association. तो आर्टिकल्स में हमें इसके ब्रीफ पॉइंट्स बना लेना. आर्टिकल्स ऑफ एसोसिएशन सिंपली टेल्स यू द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन ऑफ द कंपनी. इट डिफाइंस द राइट्स एंड पावर्स ऑफ द गवर्निंग बॉडी. It is a document which tells you what are the domestic management, how it has to be done, and articles of association is the bylaws of the company to which the officers and directors have to perform their functions. So आर्टिकल्स में लिखा गया कि डायरेक्टर्स 9 बजे ऑफिस आएंगे तो डायरेक्टर्स को वो फॉलो करने हैं बायलॉज. आर्टिकल्स ऑफ एसोसिएशन में लिखा गया कि शेयर होल्डर्स एंड अदर ऑफिसर्स एंड डायरेक्टर्स की ये पावर है तो उनको वही पावर एक्सरसाइज करनी है. आर्टिकल्स ऑफ एसोसिएशन में लिखा है कि 1 लाख रुपीज बोरो करा जा सकता है पर मंथ फ्रॉम द बैंक, तो डायरेक्टर्स कैन ओनली बोरो अप टिल 1 लाख. Whatever is written in the article, they are the bylaws, they are the internal rules and regulations of the company, which has to be followed by the directors and every officer of the company. So now let's understand section 5. Section 4 defines your memorandum of association. Section 5 talks about the articles of association. Articles of association tells you the contents and models of association. Number 1, article will give you the rules and regulations, how the management of the company is done, how the business has been framed, how it will be doing all these things. इंक्लूजन ऑफ मैटर्स का भी बच्चों सेम मीनिंग है. क्या एडिशनल मैटर्स आपको इंक्लूड करने आर्टिकल्स में वो प्रोवाइड करेगा. इट इज वेरी बोरिंग, यू डोंट हैव टू रीड ईच एंड एवरी लाइन. ओनली वन पॉइंट ऑफ entrenchment is mentioned over here which I want to explain you. So I will just take up that topic and we'll move toward the another doctrine. So articles, ये ध्यान से सुनना. आर्टिकल्स ऑफ एसोसिएशन क्या बताता है? मेमोरेंडम बताता है कंपनी का ऑब्जेक्टिव, स्कोप, बिजनेस क्या करेगी. आर्टिकल बताता है रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस, कैसे कंपनी रन कैसे होनी है, कंपनी की डिटेल्स क्या है. आर्ची गोयल, यूनानिमस मींस all of them. Unanimous means सबके decision. All of them have agreed, then also it cannot be ratified. Sakshi estoppel means where once you have done the act, you cannot deny from stopping it later on. So we refer to the estoppel where we have discussed in partnership, in sale of goods also. Here also he says even by estoppel, the act cannot be made acceptable. रिति भारती बेटा कौन सा थर्ड पॉइंट नहीं समझ आया, किस चीज का पूछ रहे हो? यू कैन स्पेसिफिकली आस्क दैट क्वेश्चन. MOA is wider than AOA. Very good, Mr. Nikhil Sharma. Absolutely correct. MOA is a vast document which gives you all the lena dena of the company, how it is framed. AOA is just the subsidiary of MOA means उसका एक part है. AOA सिर्फ बताते हैं कंपनी की फंक्शनिंग कैसे होना. अब हम चलते हैं इंट्रेंचमेंट पे. इंट्रेंचमेंट ध्यान से सुन लो, फिर मैं आपको आराम से टाइम दूंगी क्वेरीज के लिए भी. एंड ऑल्सो वी हैव टू डू एग्जामिनेशन क्वेश्चन पेपर्स. इंट्रेंचमेंट मीन्स टू प्रोटेक्ट समथिंग, किसी को प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करना. अब वो कहते हैं आर्टिकल्स मे कंटेन द प्रोविजंस रिलेटेड टू एंट्रेंचमेंट. आर्टिकल्स मे बी ऑल्टर्ड only if conditions are more restrictive than those applicable in case of special resolutions. Up sometimes, for example, there are certain shareholders who cannot be available. Special resolution means majority of the shareholders have to say yes, then only the thing can be passed. So entrenchment means there is something which very urgently has to be done. So articles have given you the provision of entrenchment, then you can avoid having a special resolution. Say, for example, the articles can provide even if 50% of the shareholders have agreed, then also the thing can be done correct in the meetings. So it is not, it is basically getting more liberalized, protecting something, some important decision has to be taken. So if my articles have the provision for entrenchment, so I can include that. I can take the 50% shareholders saying yes for a particular matter. I don't have to wait for all the shareholders and passing the special resolution. So articles can be altered in order to provide for this entrenchment provision also. Manner of inclusion at the time of formation of the company or at the time of amendment of the articles, we can include, or by passing a special resolution also, you can introduce this provision of entrenchment. Where the articles contain the provision of entrenchment, company shall give the notice to the registrar. So number one, क्या entrenchment provision हो सकती है? हाँ जी मैम, आर्टिकल्स में entrenchment provision हो सकती है. entrenchment का मतलब होता है किसी चीज को प्रोटेक्ट करना. मुझे कोई अर्जेंट डिसीजन लेना है तो मैंने आर्टिकल्स में प्रोवाइड करा हुआ है कि मुझे स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन पास करने के बजाय हम ऑर्डिनरी शेयर होल्डर से ऑर्डिनरी रेजोल्यूशन भी पास करवा सकते हैं. ऐसी प्रोविजन एट द टाइम ऑफ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ कंपनी में मैंने डाली हुई है, और ऑल्टरेशन ऑफ आर्टिकल्स में डाल सकता हूँ, या फिर रेजोल्यूशन पास करके भी हम ये प्रोविजन डाल सकते हैं. क्या मुझे ये प्रोविजन entrenchment की आरओसी को देनी है? Yes, I shall give a notice to the registrar that we have included this entrenchment provision in my articles of association. All right, बस not to learn beyond this. Form of articles table FGHI, उसमें ABCDE form थे, इसमें FGHI है. Company form registered after the commencement. Any company which is registered after the commencement shall not exclude the provision. So all which is given in the memorandum and articles, all those rules applicable have to be complied with, which we have just read. What is important ahead? Importance is the difference between MOA and AOA. MOA tells you the limits of the company, entire objectives, articles based on the rules and regulations of the company. आराम से समझ आ गया. MOA का relationship किसमें है? MOA tells you the relationship of the company with the outsiders. Motiani, we are doing differences between MOA and AOA. Yes, Mr. Suraj, both of them are important documents and both of them are public documents. No, Anushka Raj, only whatever we have discussed, you have to learn only that much. You don't have to learn each and every line of articles of association. Madhu Namdev is asking the fourth point of articles of association. Fourth point में बेटा उसने simple बताया है कि अगर entrenchment, if you are doing any kind of entrenchment provision, then you can include that entrenchment provision either at the time of forming the company और at the time of alteration of the articles. जब आप कंपनी के आर्टिकल्स को अमेंड कर रहे हो तब ऐड कर सकते हो, या फिर पब्लिक कंपनी है तो स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन पास करके यू कैन ऐड दिस entrenchment. Yes, Riddhi Bharti, you can learn that summary as well. Good, those who have written crystal clear, I'm glad. So relationship of memorandum is between the company and the outsiders, and articles tells you the relationship between the company and its members. Why? Because articles tell about the internal rules and regulations. Memorandum tells you about the overall company. Alteration, can you alter memorandum? Memorandum section 13 पूरा पढ़ोगे CA इंटर में, बहुत huge alteration होती है, and permission of regional director or tribunal is required. बट आर्टिकल्स ना कंपनी के रेगुलेशंस है, उनको इजीली एक रेजोल्यूशन पास करके आप ऑल्टर कर सकते हैं. सो मेमोरेंडम को ऑल्टर ट्राइब्यूनल, रीजनल डायरेक्टर, इतने सारे लोग इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, उनकी परमिशन चाहिए होती है. आर्टिकल्स को आप ऑल्टर कर सकते हो बाय पासिंग अ स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन. And what is the meaning of ultra vires? You tell me, what is the meaning of ultra vires? Acts done beyond the memorandum are ultra vires and void. They cannot be ratified. वही same बातें बार बार लिखा है. And which is done ultra vires the articles that can be ratified by passing a special resolution. मतलब आप आर्टिकल्स के बाहर कुछ करते हो तो वो रेटिफाई हो सकते हैं, मेमोरेंडम के बाहर कुछ करते हो तो वो रेटिफाई नहीं हो सकता. इज दैट क्लियर? ओके, let's have a quick quiz. What do you understand the word ultra vires? जल्दी से मुझे बताओ. What is the meaning of ultra vires? What is the meaning of ultra vires? So let me just quickly show you the presentation also. So this is how you have to remember the types of the company: shareholders, creditors, you know the powers of the company. These are the 6 clauses that you have to learn. And 2019 question 5B, 6 mark question once came in the exam. What is the memorandum? Is the charter of the company. Explain the contents of the memorandum of association. If such kind of questions come, you have to simply define the MOA. You have to give all these clauses, and you have to give the mention of Ashbury Railway Carriage versus Rich. That case law summary can be given, and very good answer given by all of you. Ultra vires means beyond the power of the company and cannot be ratified even by majority of shareholders. Ms. Bhargavi, Hetal, Sudhakar, Archie, Shivam, Tapaswini, Renuka, Sukanya, Mayank, Riti, Bharti, Rani Prasad, Pavan, Nikhil, Anushka Jain, Muskan. All of you have given the correct answers. So this is what you have to mention in case of ultra vires. If you're going beyond the act, that cannot be ratified. If you're within the act, within the articles, you are doing anything within the internal management, that can be ratified by passing a resolution. Now, this question will be doing after doing that point of articles of association, doctrine of indoor management कर लेते हैं फटाफट से खत्म. Constructive notice. Now, what is the meaning of doctrine of constructive notice? बहुत ही सिंपल है, मुझे समझ नहीं आता इतना बड़ा डॉक्ट्रिन बनाकर दे रहा है. वही बातें जो अभी हमने पढ़ी हैं, सेक्शन 399 दोबारा से आपको वही बता रहा है कि एमओए एंड एओए पब्लिक डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं. दे आर अवेलेबल फॉर इंस्पेक्शन. मींस कोई भी कंपनी में इन्वेस्टमेंट करने से पहले इनको इंस्पेक्ट कर सकता है, पढ़ सकता है. एंड इट इज योर ड्यूटी to read the contents of these documents. So this is known as constructive notice. Means these are any person dealing with the company should inspect these documents and should see whether the person has read them or not before making any kind of investment. So person read the documents or not, he is presumed to have the knowledge of the contents. कोई भी बंदा अगर मेरी कंपनी के साथ डील करे तो ऐसा मान लिया जाएगा कि उसने एमओए एंड एओए पढ़ा है. In English, whosoever is dealing with my company, it will be assumed that that person has definitely read the MOA and AOA of my company. And the person not only has the constructive notice, but has also read the special resolutions, which are required to be registered with the registrar. So the person should read my MOA, AOA, and also my special resolutions should have been read by person who are entering the contract with my company. If a person enters the contract beyond the powers of the company, or memorandum or outside the authority, then he will not get any rights against the company. Why? Because it becomes ultra vires. Simple. The doctrine of indoor management. Now, ध्यान से सुनो. So, doctrine of ultra vires क्या कहता है? फटाफट से हम समरी बना लेंगे. Doctrine of ultra vires gives protection to the company. Means outsiders will be held liable. Yes or no? The first doctrine of ultra vires, it gives the protection to the company. That is, whatsoever is happening, outsiders will be held liable if we enter in the contract which is beyond the powers. What is the meaning of doctrine of constructive notice? Doctrine of constructive notice also tries to tell you, gives protection to the company. Means anyone who is entering the contract has not read the MOA and AOA means that outsider will be held liable. Is that clear? अब हम एक नया डॉक्ट्रिन पढ़ने जा रहे हैं, डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ इंडोर मैनेजमेंट. इंडोर का मतलब क्या होता है बेटा? बास्केटबॉल इज एन आउटडोर गेम, इंडोर गेम, आउटडोर गेम. लॉन टेनिस आउटडोर गेम है. टेबल टेनिस इंडोर गेम है, अंदर खेल रहे हैं टेबल रखकर. And what all can be indoor games? Have you ever played badminton? That is also indoor game at times when you have big courts. You can play it outside and as indoor also. And और कौन सी होती है indoor games? Chess is an indoor game. Scramble is an indoor game. Uno play करते हो. और कौन सी होती है indoor outdoor games? जल्दी बताओ मुझे. थोड़ा refresh करूँ, आपको active करूँ. बहुत ज्यादा आज हम technical topic पढ़ रहे हैं. So you all have become special chartered accountant. Somebody is writing special resolution. Somebody is writing ultra wires, doctrine word. क्रिकेट ऑल्सो. ओके शिवम, क्रिकेट इज ऑल्सो इंडोर. वाओ, ध्यान से खेलना भाई, क्रिकेट तो पंखा ना टूट जाए बॉल लगने से. पुनीता इज सेइंग इनसाइड द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट गेम्स. यू आर स्टिल इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. मैं आपको रिफ्रेश करने के लिए पूछ रही हूँ, इंडोर गेम्स बताओ मुझे कौन सी होती है. आकाश वर्मा इज ऑल्सो सेइंग विद इन द कंपनी. सो यू डोंट हैव टू प्ले द गेम्स विद इन द कंपनी. क्विकली आंसर मी स्टूडेंट्स. पढ़ाई से थोड़ा सा बाहर निकल कर गेम्स के बारे में सोचो. इंडोर गेम्स कौन सी होती है जो घर के अंदर खेली जा सकती हैं? चेस, लूडो, कैरम, ऊनो, snakes and ladders, chess cards. Again, somebody saying cricket. I don't know how you play cricket inside the room. Carom board. Okay. Nice. Nice. Good. So we have got freshen up. So now we know indoor games are something which is happening inside the house. Similarly, doctrine of indoor management is something which is happening inside the company. Now you and me are running a company and we only forgot to pass certain resolution. We only forgot to make certain rules and regulations. Children, when you are playing a Ludo inside the room, how does your neighbors know whether you're winning or losing? Similarly, when you are failing to file a resolution or make any rules and regulations inside the company, how does an outsider knows whether you have done it correctly or not? So doctrine of indoor management tells you it gives the protection to the outsiders, means anything wrong done by the company inside the doors of the company, here company will be held liable. So we are not actually going to play any games. That was just to make you understand. You forgot to write your internet game. So much of you have been playing PUBG and all sitting inside. You forgot about that. Yes, Ms. Parul, remember online games. Kabaddi, Anil Yadav, you are playing Kabaddi as an indoor game. Oh my God. Very nice. Hide and seek, Pavan is writing. Antakshri Hitesh is writing. Gambling is an indoor game, Dheeraj. Oh my God. ज़्यादा ही चले गए beyond. Indoor, tennis, hide and seek, chess, Renuka. Yes, Mr. Mayank, indoor means company cannot ratify the documents. अभी company का समझा रहे हैं, अभी we were on the games. Okay, Mr. Bajrang Tripathi, good. Divya, Sakshi, Sanjay Kumar, many new names have also come up in the games. Okay, good, Anil Yadav. So similarly, when doctrine of indoor management, it is the only doctrine which gives protection to the outsiders, and indoor management में company will be held liable. And after that also we have exceptions to doctrine of indoor management. Again, अभी हम डिस्कस करेंगे ये वाले पॉइंट्स, अभी सिर्फ लिख कर रख लो इसको. डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ इंडोर मैनेजमेंट की एक्सेप्शंस में अगेन आउटसाइडर्स will be held liable. There are certain exceptions to the indoor management. So once we have done the indoor management, after that, after explaining the exceptions to the doctrine, that particular respective person who has made the fault, now that person will be held responsible. Again, protection is given to the company in this case. वो कैसे होगा मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन करूंगी, अभी सिर्फ ये एक बार ही लिख कर रख लो ये नोट्स. Please write it down quickly, all this summary that I have written in front of you. Okay, Mr. Suraj. All right. Yes, yes, Sudhakar. That's why I asked you because you keep playing games on mobiles only nowadays. Have you all written this? Can I delete it and move forward, children? So, doctrine of constructive notice simply tells you that MOA and AO are public documents. Anyone who is dealing with the company should have read these documents, and then only you can enter into contract with the company. Let's proceed ahead to the doctrine of indoor management. So, doctrine of indoor management, another very interesting story is coming up. So, the last story for the day, that is Royal British Bank versus Turquoise. Yes, Renuka, that's correct. Now leave the admin query block and come here. Last interesting case law which we are doing is anything which is done in the internal sense means outsiders deemed to have the notice. It says doctrine of constructive notice says that you should know whatever the company is doing. But doctrine of indoor management is an exception to the doctrine of constructive notice that whatever is happening within the inside the company, outsiders cannot be aware about that. And there is the landmark case Royal British Bank versus Turquoise, which is also popularly known as Turquoise rule. So, how this Turquoise rule was made is Mr. Turquoise was official manager, that is liquidator of the company. And the company was, so Mr. Turquoise, he is the liquidator of the company. Who is the liquidator, children? Let me ask all of you. Who is a liquidator? Who is the liquidator of the company? Do you remember when the company goes into winding up, a liquidator is appointed who will be selling off all the assets and paying off the liabilities of the company. जैसे insolvency केस में हम official assignee appoint करते थे, ऐसे company के केस में liquidator appoint होता है. So there was a company which was formed under Joint Stock Companies Act 1844, and company has given a bond of £2,000 to the Royal British Bank, which secured the company's drawing. So kind of loan has been taken from the bank, and it was £2,000 was money was involved. Now, this bond, which was signed by the company, was under the company seal, and two directors and company secretary has signed it. Now, what happened when the company was sued? Company को जब company के against case file करा गया, it was said that the directors had the borrowing power only up to a particular amount, and resolution was passed, but they have not specified how much amount the directors could borrow. Oh my God, somebody is saying liquidator is a cashier. Mr. Vivek Kamath, liquidator is the person who is appointed when the company goes into liquidation or winding up or it has been declared insolvent. Yes, Rani Prasad, who does the settlement of the company, who manages the cash flow. So, Vivek, you're correct as far as you're talking about the official person who has been appointed. So, Mr. Turquoise was the liquidator who has been appointed over here. Okay, very good, Deepak Bhai, Tambeshwari, Monu, Sukanya, good children. Let us quickly finish it off now. Then I want to do certain questions also. So what happened? There was a certain limit beyond which the directors could not borrow. Now, company has passed the resolution that the directors had the power to borrow, but they have not specified the amount. अब आप मुझे बताओ अगर कंपनी ने अमाउंट स्पेसिफाई नहीं करा अभी कितने अमाउंट तक बोरो कर सकते हैं तो क्या ये आउटसाइडर्स की गलती है Definitely, it is the mistake of the company. The company should have specified. Now, directors have had the power to borrow. This is what the bank was supposed to read. So, bank read and they provided a bond of £2,000. Now, when the payment was to be made, that the company was not making the payment. Aquan said that the company cannot sign such kind of contracts. So, law held that the bond was valid. Royal British Bank could enforce the terms. It was said that the bank was aware that the directors could borrow. Articles were registered with the companies. They had a constructive notice. But the important line over here is the bank could not deem to know what ordinary resolutions have been passed because they were not registered. Therefore, bond was valid. They are not required to look into the internal companies of the internal workings of the company. That is why it is said internal indoor affairs of the company is a company's own problem. Therefore, the bank won the case. Is that clear? Now, what are the exceptions to the indoor management? Now, whenever a certain rule is made, people will try to misuse this kind of rule. So once constructive notice was given, exception to constructive notice is indoor management. Further exception to the indoor management was three exceptions have been given to the indoor management. So indoor management में हम किसको liable कर रहे हैं? Company को liable कर रहे हैं. But indoor management in Turquoise rule has its own limitations. Therefore, following exceptions has been given, which says actual and constructive knowledge of irregularity. अभी कहते हैं किसी डायरेक्टर को जानबूझकर पता है, सपोज डायरेक्टर को पता है कि मेरी बोरोइंग पावर्स 1500 थी, मैं 1500 के बियॉन्ड नहीं बोरो कर सकता, फिर भी वो डायरेक्टर 3000 तक बोरो कर, तो obviously then it is mistake of that particular director. Then the company on the basis of that director will be held liable and not that particular outsider who is giving loan. So if you have any suspicion of irregularity, you know that the director is acting irregular in their function, then that particular person will be held liable. Directors could not defend the issue of debentures because they have known that they did not have the money to borrow. So therefore, that particular director will be held liable in that case. Suspicion of irregularity is again very very interesting. Anand Bihari Lal versus Dinshaw and company के केस में क्या हुआ था, एक अकाउंटेंट था कंपनी का आनंद बिहारी, उसने क्या बोला कि मैं ना कंपनी का प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ अटर्नी को साइन कर सकता हूँ, सो उसने साइन करके कंपनी को बेचने की कोशिश करी. So when such kind of things is happening, a accountant does not have the power to sign the power of attorney. In the absence of our accountant had the authority to transfer the company's property. You cannot transfer the company's property. An accountant does not have the power to transfer the company's property. So here, such kind of irregularity, negligence, when you're suspicious about such kind of transactions, then that particular outsiders who are acting in the company will be held liable, not the company will be held liable. Similarly, Rubin versus Great Bengal consolidated case, it talks about forgery. Forgery means where fake signatures are given. So any act, doctrine of indoor management cannot apply to forgery. It must be disregarded as null and void. So where here a case happened where the share transfer was certificate were transferred and the company secretary के जो signature थे, जो seal fix करी थी, उसने directors के दो signatures को forged कर दिया, means नकली signatures कर दिए, fake signatures. So any kind of forgery is happening. Doctrine of indoor management applies only to the irregularities, but not applies to the forgery. So where forgery is happening, then that particular outsider who is dealing with the company will be into trouble. That respective company cannot be held liable. Here, that company secretary who is fixing the seal with fake signatures, that particular company secretary will be held liable. So in तीनों cases में, director who is having the knowledge of irregularity, who is doing a wrong thing, who is extending the borrowing limits, he will be held liable. Suspicion of irregularity में आपने याद रखना है, आनंद बिहारी लाल में जो अकाउंटेंट जो गलती कर रहा है, कंपनी का रिस्पॉन्सिबल पर्सन है, he will be held liable, company will not be liable. And in case of forgery, the company secretary who made a mistake and made the false signatures, fake signatures were given, that particular company secretary will be held liable and company will not be held liable. Is that clear? So beautifully, we have come to an end of entire syllabus. Now here, instead of MCQs, I want to do certain descriptive questions with all of you. Please read the summary notes also. I give you 2 minutes. You want to ask any doubts, you can ask, then we'll move ahead to the descriptive questions. No, Anushka Raj, you don't need to explain the case law in the exam, but you should know what is the meaning of the case law so that you can write the answers beautifully in the paper. Want to take up certain question papers with you. I hope you have enjoyed completing the syllabus with me, and we have almost completed the entire Companies Act also. Now, the only pending task is that you have to nicely do your homeworks and studies. You can ask your doubts, students, if you want to ask anything, then we'll be proceeding towards the question papers. As discussed, we will be doing few question papers also. June 23 paper we can open up. Okay, Riti Bharti, I will share my story. Take a break, take a Kit Kat, Hariharan. I hope you have enjoyed your Kit Kat. Questions के बाद आपकी CA journey सुन लेंगे, पक्का done. Ultra wires and constructive notice. Mr. Monu Singh, ultra wires means when you go beyond the memorandum of the company, that is null and void. Constructive notice means कि कोई भी जो कंपनी के साथ डील कर रहा है उसका एज्यूम कर लेते हैं हम कि वो कंपनी का मेमोरेंडम एंड आर्टिकल्स पढ़कर आए. Mr. Ayush Kumar, I would love to teach you further also. Let's see how the things go ahead. Otherwise, wishing you all the best for your CA foundation. I hope you all clear your exams soon and you go into your CA inter also. Okay, now we are going to see this question paper from June 2023. If you have any doubts, again, you can ask your doubts. So here we are going to take this question paper. So we'll be seeing into first question. I have always shown you it is related to Contract Act. Question number 1. Corporate veil एक बारी short में समझा दो तंबेश्वरी. Okay, short में समझा दो. Okay, Mr. Shubham, definitely I will do that. आता है आपके साथ पढ़ने में. Thank you, Miss Divya. Thank you so much. Miss Renuka Gaurav, I'll try to see if we can schedule revision lectures. I will definitely discuss it with the institute and update you. Institute will update you if there are any revision lectures. No, Shivam Chauhan, you will, Sukanya, you don't have any other further class as of now. This is the last class. Thank you so much, Mr. Pavan. Even I enjoy teaching all of you. Thank you, children. All right, now let's first complete and then we can move ahead to these things. Thank you, Miss Parul. She says, now I have no doubt in MOA and UA. Great. All right, children. So the second question in front of you in the screen is ABC Limited has allotted equity shares with voting rights to XYZ Limited and convertible preference shares of 10 crores. After that, total share capital is 100 crores. So can you see the same examination question paper में 2023 का खोला है मैंने ये 2019 का जो हमने 3 marks का करा था same 4 marks का question about associate company has come. So you can refer this to my notes in the previous session. We have already discussed this. You have to write the definition of associate company. You have to tell them that both equity and preference share capital has been taken over here. So the only significant influence with 15 crores equity shares will be considered. So here you're just having 15% shareholding. 20% is not there. So they are not related to the associates company. If you assume that the convertible preference now listen to the assumptions. कई बारी अगर आपको confusion होती है तो अगर blank है वहां पे नहीं लिखा तो आप assumption देकर भी लिख सकते हो कि convertible preference shareholders are having voting rights, then it will be 25% as a share capital holding and therefore it can be considered as associate companies. After that, question number 2, stranger to contract act, again 7 marks question and LLP question. Generally, this is what was happening. 5 marks question from LLP was coming previously, and most of the students used to do it in a choice question. Explain the registration procedure हम कर चुके हैं. Contract Act वाला again we have done. The sale of goods one also we have done. So these are again 2 questions related to Indian Contract Act. So please study Indian Contract Act also very nicely because many questions come from the Indian Contract Act as well. So rights of the buyer against the seller in case of breach of contract. So let me see how many of you remember. Question number 4A part, 6 marks questions. Do you remember what were the rights of the buyer against the seller? So if the seller is doing any breach of contract, how the seller breaches the contract? Seller was supposed to sell the goods. He failed to give you the delivery of the goods. Now what rights are available with the buyer? So all those 5-6 rights which we have done under SOGA will be written over here. So let me see your memory. How well you remember these. Yes, mock test series, Mr. Tambeshwari, we'll try to do that as well if institute provides us the time. Thank you, Anush Kumar. Thank you, Anushka Raj. Thank you so much, Priyanka. Tell me, students, question number 4A part. How many of you remember? Excellent. All those who have given the correct answers. Damages for non-delivery, specific performance, sued for breach of warranty, reputation. So it's good if you remember even the headings. You can later on write down the detailed answer. So let us again quickly move ahead to the Companies Act questions. So all the sale of goods we have done. See now 6 marks as Straight away question आया हुआ है, explain the concept of corporate veil and the circumstances under which the corporate veil can be lifted. Can you answer me this one? Question number 5, part B. What is the meaning of corporate veil? Separate legal entities, Salomon versus Salomon and Company Limited का reference दे देना यहाँ पे. And all those 5 cases, evasion of taxes, determining the real character, all those headings have to be given, where you have to give corporate veil can be lifted. You can see in the suggested answers, they have not given a certain any mention about the sections. They have not given any reference about the case law. So it is not compulsory, but you should remember it because we have done it in detail. कई बारी case study based question आ जाता है, तो उसके लिए वो helpful रहता है. Now the last question which I want all my students to answer me is ABC Private Limited is a registered company with a paid up share capital of 35 lakhs and a turnover of 2.5 crores. Can we say that the ABC Limited can avail the status of small company? Also discuss the meaning of small company. So beautifully, you have to write the meaning and definition of small company. And after that, you have to do the analysis whether the ABC Private Limited company, which is given over here, is a small company or not. Let me see your answers. I'm waiting to see your answers. Please answer me this question, part C, ABC Private Limited is a small company or not? This is the last question for all of you. Yes, students, I'm waiting for your answers. Sir, the site is not responding. I can't get the answers. Can you please see? Yeah, please tell me why I can't see the answers. All right, students, I think there is some problem in the site. Let me just share the answers with all of you. So ABC Private Limited is a small company or not? What is the correct answer? So ABC Private Limited is a small company. Let us see how you have to write the question in the exam. We have done the recent amendment also in the class. So small company has been defined where the company other than a public company means small company is always a private limited company. It can never be a public company. So if it is a company which has the paid up share capital which does not exceed 4 crores and the turnover is less than 40 crores, in that case, it is known as a small company. And what is the upper limit that they have given? That is 10 crores and 100 crores is the maximum amount up till which you can increase the limit. So this is an important amendment. You should refer to the definition over here, which is given. And also you will give in the definition that it is not applicable to Section 8 companies. It is not applicable to body corporates. It is not applicable to holding and subsidiary company. So here the paid up share capital is 35 lakhs, which is less than 4 crores. Here the turnover is 2.5 crore, which is less than 40 crore. Therefore, the small company status will be given because both the limits of paid up share capital and turnover has been fulfilled. Is that correct, student? This is how you have to attempt your question. Now we still have 7-8 minutes. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask your doubts. All the PPTs have been uploaded and the Companies Act PPT will also become visible today by 8 p.m. You can see and download the PPTs from there. Because the here best, Mr. Pavan, good answer as Sudhakar, Ayush Kumar, Kavita, Tapaswini, Bhargavi, Deepak Bhai. Thank you so much, Deepak Bhai. Riti Bharti, correct answer. Anushka, Mutyani, Tambeshwari, Anuj, all of you have given the correct answers. Hariharan, very well done, children. Great. Anjali, Nancy, Mr. Pavan, very good, children. Higher limits that has been prescribed should not be more than 1 crores and 10 crores. Absolutely correct, Miss Sakshi. But here you have to, Mr. Shivam Chauhan, your answer is also correct. Here you have to answer it in the basis of 4 crores and 40 crores. That is the minimum limits that I have given. Mr. Shivam Chauhan, don't worry. You should make a proper timetable for your accounts and economics also. So here are certain tips for everyone how you have to study. So now, since you have completed law syllabus, so you should allot yourself how much topics you're going to do by the end of the weekends. Just assess how much syllabus you have covered. So making a timetable means 5 days I've made my timetable for all the topics. So say for example, in the morning I've scheduled for 2 chapters of sale of goods. In the afternoon, I should be studying some part of economics, and in the evening, I'm studying some part of accounts. Again, on the same day, economics can be replaced with maths. Law you should be following every day, and the previous and the last part of the day where you have been doing accounts, you should practice accounts also every day because a lot of written practice is required in accounts. So all these chapters, consequently, you have to plan a timetable for every day. And on the end of the week, like on Saturday morning, you should sit and see how much analysis you have done according to your timetable, how much coverage have been done. And whatever the carry forwards are, children, keep your Sunday afternoons or evenings free so that whatever you have not been able to do during that timetable, you should carry it forward and take it over that in that Sunday half day period. All right, so that is how you have to complete your entire syllabus. So as requested, here is my CA journey in front of you. I have been working with corporate firms like Deloitte and Ernst & Young after clearing my CA. And I also have been working with the institute as a registered faculty, taking classes for your YouTube. And that has been my passion, which I love to do. I love to teach students. And my CA journey, if you ask me for my studies, how I used to do, I have always been telling you, you all have to fall in love with your books. So I always used to love my books. I used to be surrounded with my textbooks, my studies, my notes. Every time I used to get up in the morning, the first half of the day, the first thing I used to do in the morning was studying for my income tax and my law, because theoretical subjects, you retain best knowledge when you study them early mornings. So you have your own schedules, you have your own way of preparation, but the most important thing is that you should be doing it regularly. So I have been into teaching only with the institute itself and other institutes for teaching profile only I've been following. So this is my throughout CA journey, which you wanted to ask. And thank you so much, all of you, for sending wonderful comments and answers. And I hope, Shivam Chauhan, now you're clear. What is the meaning of body corporate? Ms. Muskan Pandey is asking. So body corporate, again, we have done the detailed definition. It also includes the foreign companies which are incorporated outside India and having a place of business in India. So any company which is formed under Companies Act 2013 or under any previous company law will be considered the same. Yes, it is a small company. Corporate whale, Tambeshwari, इतनी बारी मैंने आपको समझा दिया corporate whale. So now you can see the recorded lecture once again and see that. Rani Prasad, I hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you so much now. Thank you, Muskan. Thank you, Mr. Manthan. Thank you, Mr. Pavan. Even I'm going to miss all of you, but please be regular with your studies. Thank you, Ashnika Gupta. Thank you, Riti. Thank you, Mr. Shubham. Definitely. I will try to take for revision classes in case we get that. You have to be well prepared, Mr. Shivam Chauhan, for your interviews. And once you become CA, you can take the guidance for that. But as of now, your focus should be 100% for clearing your CA. Thank you, Kansha Shukla. Thank you, Mr. Kanya. Thank you, Ariharan. Thank you, Parul. Thank you, children. Thank you, Renuka. Thank you, children. I can't see any more doubts now. I hope you have understood everything. Thank you so much, Miss Madhu Kamble. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Archie. Paid up share capital and turnover in small companies. So, Miss Archie Goel, you have to refer to the limits of paid up share capital and turnover. Both the limits have to be seen together. So, since the paid up share capital is less than 4 crores and the paid up and the turnover is less than 40 crores. So that is why it was considered as a small company, and also the provisions, exceptions of the small companies, that it does not apply to holding and subsidiary, it does not apply to Section 8 companies, that has to be written as a part of definition. The higher limit of 10 crores and 100 crore is only the maximum limits that they have given. So कल को अगर गवर्नमेंट बढ़ाना चाहे तो पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल की जो उन्होंने लिमिट दी है 4 crores, that can be maximum increased up to 10 crores. टर्नओवर की जो उन्होंने 40 crores लिमिट दी है वो मैक्सिमम 100 crore तक इंक्रीज हो सकती है. All right, thank you, Mr. S. Sudhakar. And yes, you remind me good about SOGA and partnership. Also, keep revising that as well. Otherwise, children, law is so vast, you at times tend to forget about it. So, make good timetables for yourself, including Contract Act, Sale of Goods, LLP, equally divide कर सारा अच्छे से पढ़ लेना. Okay. Yes, Muskan Pandey, don't worry. When I take up the next sessions and you come up and you say that you have cleared the exam, again, your names will be taken over here. Thank you, Ardhendu Biswas. Thank you so much. And I also wish you all the best and you always get good marks in law and other subjects also. All right, students. So I can't see any more doubts from your side. It's only the emotional, beautiful messages that you have sent. And once again, I wish you all the best. And I hope you all clear your exam as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr. Sujal. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. In descriptive questions, how much we have to write? So last time I'm telling you in the descriptive questions, you have to formulate your answer into three different paragraphs. Number one will be the provision of the act, in which I have told you, if you don't remember the sections, you simply have to write as per the provisions of Companies Act or as per the provisions of Indian Contract Act 1872, whatever is the act. You define the provision, underline the important parts. Second paragraph will be the facts of the case. It is a summary from the question, whatever question examiner has given, उसी की summary लेकर आप facts of the case बनाओगे. And the third paragraph is your analysis and conclusion. So analysis means on the basis of the above provisions and analysis, we understand that this cannot happen. और जो भी आप लिख रहे हो conclusion. Third paragraph underline अच्छे से करना है तीनों को, facts of the case, conclusion, provisions को, जो भी important points है highlighted है उनको भी underline करो. You always get good marks when your paper is having a good handwriting. You are writing down in points and you're underlining the main context. अगर कोई बहुत डिटेल डेफिनेशन है आप उसे अंडरलाइन कर देते हो. सपोज प्राइवेट कंपनी की डेफिनेशन है, आपने इट पुट रिस्ट्रिक्शंस ऑन द ट्रांसफर ऑफ शेयर्स, लिमिट ऑफ मेंबर इज 200, नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स हेल्ड जॉइंटली एज वन विल बी ट्रीटेड. इन चीजों को अगर आप अंडरलाइन करते हो तो आपकी सेंटेंस फॉर्मेशन से पहले एग्जामिनर समझ जाता है कि इस बच्चे को नॉलेज है, इस बच्चे को पता है चीजों के बारे में. एंड लास्ट सेक्शंस आपके लिए कंपलसरी नहीं है, फाउंडेशन में इंटर में लर्न करने हैं. एंड केस लॉस जो भी हमने क्लास में डिस्कस करे हैं वो सारे एक बार अच्छे से आप पढ़ लेंगे, लर्न कर लेंगे. आपको याद रहे तो आप ठीक रेफरेंस दे सकते हैं, बट अगर याद नहीं रहता है तो गलत रेफरेंस सेक्शन या केस लॉ का कभी नहीं देना. ठीक है, मैंडेटरी नहीं है, बट केस लॉज एक बार अच्छे से पढ़ लेना. ओके. So, all right. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the very best. My good wishes are with all of you. And I'm 100% sure if you study well, you'll revise well, you're definitely going to clear your CA foundation. See you soon. Goodbye. Take care.